Grand rising, grand arrival, grand return. Peace and blessings to the righteous and the repentant alike. I am Chief Sophia of the Americana Band of Indians, and this is our introduction to daylight astrology. In this video, we're going to talk about how I use the tarot spiral to understand a particular time. Now, eventually I'm going to go back and put this in terms of jubilees, because now I've started calculating things in jubilees, but this is a very old chart. That's why it has all the whatever stuff on it. I know people, they can remove all the stuff now, so it doesn't even make a difference to put anything on it. But I just wanted to explain how different ages happen and what energy was ruling particular ages. And this would be based on looking at when the golden age was. So, and then basically going backwards. Now, I know that we don't go backwards, so don't start with me. But the reason why I had to go backwards is because we're supposedly going into the Aquarius age. And so this is based on how they look at the chart. So even though I have this going from Leo back to Aquarius, which is how they look at the planet as moving backwards, I understand that we're actually moving forward. So I don't know if that means we're going to undo this stuff. I don't know if that means we're going to rewrite. I don't know exactly how this is supposed to be working, truthfully. But I do know that basically I've pretty much been correct in the way that I've assessed this. And so from 10,932 BCE to 8772 BCE, that was ruled by Lilith. So that would be like the golden age that they're talking about. And that is like the time before Adam. So there's a lot of people who talk about, let's say, for example, the age of the mother and this and that. They're basically talking about when Lilith was ruling, because we don't know how long Lilith was here before Adam was brought. We do know that Lilith was here before Adam was brought. Well, we don't really know how long that was. And there's really no way to tell, because 1,000 days, 1,000 years is but a day to the Creator. And so this is when when they say that Earth was created in 6 days, and Adam didn't show up until the 5th day. I know he lived less than 1,000 years, but that was starting from the point where they committed the sin. We don't know how long he was living before the sin was committed. You know what I mean? Like, I do have some other versions of Genesis and Exodus to look at to see if they give more of a timing thing, but we have to assume that if God created the planet in 6 days, that it wasn't 6 of our human days. It was 6 creator days. And the sin started the Jubilee cycle, basically, too, because every day when you with the Creator, when you are with the one who made you, who loves you, every day is Jubilee. Okay. Literally every day is Jubilee. They talk about the angels who were at the throne of the Creator, and just every day is singing and partying and all of that stuff. And what did Jesus say? He says, many times, the poor you have with you always, but me you have only for a time. You can fast at the feast. Now's the time for feasting while I'm here, because when I'm gone, that's when you're going to have to fast. So we can assume that that's how things actually operate, because those are the words from Jesus himself. Okay. So the Lilith time period is is one of the golden ages that they're referring to. Right. So then from 8772 BCE to 6612 BCE, that was ruled by Adam. And then from 6612 BCE to 4452 BCE, that's where you had Adam and Eve come together. Because again, we don't know how long Adam was around or Eve was around before the whole temptation and all. We don't know. Like, anybody who says they know, they don't know. Okay, so we have to go with what makes sense, and it ties into the timeline because Gemini is the lovers. So, and also you have the king and the princess that's together in this slice. So it goes with the rest of the tarot spiral. Okay. So Enoch, the age of Enoch was from 4452 BCE to 2292 BCE. And then the age of Abraham was 2292 BCE to 132 BCE. And then the age of Jesus was from 132 BCE to 2028. Now, how many years is this? I don't even remember what I did. Let me see. I did this so long ago. Hold on, y'all. Let's do the math. Let's do the math. I thought about this once I started talking. Oh, it's 2,160 years. That's right. So each age is 2,160 years. Now we know for a fact that Adam did not live to be longer than 1,000, but he lived to exactly one day short of 1,000 years. But his energy was still the primary energy of the age. And when Adam and Eve was together, their energy, their collective energy was the energy of the age. So this is how they call it the zeitgeist or whatever. So from 132 BCE until 2028, Jesus is going to be the zeitgeist of this age. Now, this is the old tarot spiral because I have the Empress there, but I know now it should be the High Priestess. So I don't even know if I can recreate this. I'm not going to go into this, but that's how I calculated. I just kept going back 2,160 years till when the last quote unquote golden age would have been. And it lines up with the Bible, and I feel like it's accurate. Okay. Now this is a shorter cycle. This is 108 years. Hold on. These are 108 year slices. Okay. So this is a shorter timeline. This would be like the moon. So this is like the sun. Like, the sun, it moves very, very methodically, very, very long cycle. You don't get back to the same degree point from a previous year until a whole year later. Okay. This is like the moon. This is like the moon cycle, like moving really, really quickly. So the slice that we're in right now is actually the Leo slice, which is started in 1992 and it goes until 2100. And then from 2100 until 2208, that's when we're going to be in the energy of the Hermit. And then actually that's as far as I went, because the reason why I made these calculations is because there was a video from a gentleman. His name was Elder Almond, and he had a vision with an angel who had come back from the year 2100, which is why this calculation ends in 2100. And he said that the angel sent back the Shema, and the Shema is a Zion Shema. I talk about it on my channel and other places. I call it folk magic. But the Zion Shema is, it was brought back at this time so that we could get advanced where we needed to advance to by the time we got to 2100, because in 2100, that's when the energy changes. And so me being a Virgo, when I did this calculation and said, okay, the 2100 is the start of the Hermit age. What is the Hermit card? What is that energy? Well, that's the deep introspection. So I feel like we got to, in another timeline, we got to 2100 and we weren't ready. Okay, we weren't ready. because this is the sun. Like, this is everything that's in the light. Once you go into Libra, you start to get into the darkness. And if you haven't mastered the light, the darkness is going to be really, really hard. So we needed some more help to get into position. Now, so we're in the slice of of Leo right now, right? And so basically in 1992, the power was supposed to be turned back over to black women. And if you are a history buff, you will see in 1992, they gave us Hillary Clinton, basically. And she has been and always will be cosplaying as a black woman. She takes black women's energy and she uses it to complete her task, which is why she was so involved in Haiti. And as a byproduct, they gave us the first black president, who was Bill Clinton. And if you know, at the time, that's what everyone said. And that's how they that's also when they did the crime bill. So literally, instead of putting black women in charge, they literally sold us out. So the previous time period would have been the time period of Cancer, which was 1884 to 1992. And you can go back and look at what was happening in 1884. The time period before that was Gemini. That was supposed to be the lovers. That was 1776 to 1884. That 1776 is when this country was founded, America. And we were supposed to be in our honeymoon phase, and they never allowed us to have that. It's been nothing but fighting and terrorism towards the American people this whole time. So from 1668 to 1776, that was the Hierophant. And the Hierophant was supposed to be, another female energy who was in charge. And that's, you have this a lot of outrageous stuff came out of the Catholic Church during that period. It was very, very influential. And so the time period before that, you have Aries, which I say is the Fool card. And that was from 1560 to 1668. And that's the time period where, there was a huge resurgence in Jesus, or Jesus was actually crucified during that time period. Because, again, we don't know how they calculate the time. They say things happened on certain dates. I want people to understand that people all over this planet are all using different calendars. There is no one standard unified calendar. We can't even agree on astrological placements. Even when you look in the sky, we cannot agree on astrological placements. So there's no one unified calendar. There are many different people who are watching and keeping watch of the energy, but there's not one unified calendar. Okay. So, I don't know if there was a resurgence in Jesus or if that's when Jesus actually died on the cross. I don't believe these people in their calendars. Let me just put it that way. Although I have found a birth chart that I do believe belongs to Jesus based on some placements in there. That doesn't mean that it's definitive. It's not thus save the Lord, as I hear some people say. So before that, from 1452 to 1560, that's when you had the high priestess is supposed to be there instead of the empress, along with the temperance and the world card. From 1344 to 1452, that was when heavy magic was big, and that will be the magician using the sun and the moon. That's when magic really, really picked up, like real magic. From 1236 to 1344, that's when you had the empress along with the tower and the star. That's when this new concept of how we could live was birthed. And I do believe that was a time of the Cathars. Somebody can correct me in the comments. From 1128 to 1236, you had judgment and the devil. That was the judgment and the devil was running rampant on this planet. If you look at what was going on in the time period, you'll see. From 1020 to 1128, that's when you had the hangman and the death card, and that's when you have a huge number of saints that were martyred under Diocletian and the rest of them, okay? And before that, you have from 912 until 1020, you have the Wheel of Fortune and Justice. And that's when a lot of people it was a lot going on. So I haven't done the deep dive on each and every one of these time periods, but if you are into that kind of thing, you can look into it. I just casually looked into, basic stuff, and it was crazy. It was crazy. So this is just one way of organizing time so that you can kind of see how things work. So I use 108 because 108 is a very, very special number. It's the number of time that you say mantras. 18 turns into 9. It's a very, very important. Again, 9 is a lunar number. 2160 also turns into 9. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But so 9 is a lunar number. It's affiliated with the moon. It's really, really a timekeeping number. 9s are. And so that's why we used 108 years. We do know that there is some kind of a cycle, that has to deal with 108. I'm sure there's a planet that has 108 year orbit. I didn't do the research on that because I didn't, I wasn't looking to that at the time, but I just wanted to re-present this information because it's been a long time since I talked about it, and I think it might be helpful for people moving forward to see this kind of research. Now, again, I don't move backwards in time anymore, so I'm not really sure how to rectify this chart either. I feel like we just have people who are moving in two different directions, and I think that's probably accurate towards what is going on. And so we have to continue to move forward. That's all I know. Well, this actually does move forward. So I don't know what the people who are moving backwards are doing. I don't know. It's really, and you can also, when you look into what was going on in these time periods, you can also see that there's clearly two different groups of people. There's a group of people who's moving forward, and then there's at the same time a group of people who's moving backwards. It's bizarre, to be honest. I think that's why I put timelines like this down, because it was just so much bizarreness, and there's so much dishonesty about how time works. I had to step away from it, but I just wanted to, like I said, represent this, put this out here. Thank you so much for listening. Shalom, peace, and blessings, and we'll see you in the next video.